You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
And welcome to another podcast of the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm glad that you've joined me. Today in South Carolina, it's a really beautiful day. We have beautiful blue skies, slight breeze, but it's still hot outside. Right now it's about 80-something. By the midday, it'll be up in the 90s. Last night we had really strong thunderstorms and rain that came down. So everything's watered. I don't need to go out and water anything. Thank goodness. But we're in the process of just knowing that summer's going to be a very hot thing to live through. And I'm sure that's going to be the same case throughout the United States. But I love South Carolina. The reason why I like it is because life is much slower. People are friendly. They'll take the time to talk with you about just about anything. And just about anywhere. When you go to California, where my office is in Burbank, it's a different way of life. It is a non-stop go, zoom, traffic. And so you deal with clients there and people who are frustrated. They're frustrated because of high taxes, of high cost of living, high gasoline prices, and the list goes on. In South Carolina, it's pretty much even Steven. Life goes at a much slower pace. Living here is much cheaper. You can still buy a nice house for $170, $190. It's different. People are not so stressed out. I love not being stressed out. That's why I come here. Of course, right now I'm a little stressed out because I'm doing some building on my home. But you see the difference. There's a whole different mindset between the South in South Carolina and California. People are different. When I first came here, it was really kind of tough for me to adjust because I was used to going and non-stop until 10 o'clock at night. Here, people lay back, they slow down, they have a nice meal, they have a nice chat, and then the day's done. Much better way of life. So, saying that, I'm flying back to Burbank on Sunday to have some meetings with people that I am looking to hire in my office in Burbank. And I'm kind of dreading it because, one, it's a long trip. There's about 4 layovers from South Carolina to Burbank. So it's a long trip. It's an all-day trip. And I'm kind of dreading because of the fast pace that I'm going to have to deal with as soon as I land. Just trying to get from the airport to the hotel is something to behold. But I have to go back. I have to adapt. Life is about adapting. You know, I started this business in 1984. And when I started, I took on clients that had projects that they needed to be completed. And they didn't have anybody in their company to do it. So they would call me up and I would go in, and I had companies that were all over the spectrum of different types of businesses. From cogeneration power plant makers and owners, to shipping container companies, to people who make and sell software, and the list goes on. Doing that type of business and taking on projects that no one else wanted to do, I had to be adaptable. Because I went from product to product to industry, and I had to study very quickly and adapt very quickly to that industry. I had to know the practices of that industry. I had to know the issues of that industry. I had to know the taxes and the accounting side. So when you're adaptable, and I think that's through those first few years of being in business and taking on so many different types of clients, it taught me how to be adaptable. And I knew that I could get anything done. And that's how I built my company and my reputation, is by taking on things that no one else could do, or had the time to do, or had the patience to do, or had the staffing to do. And that's how I built my company. And during the course of my years, from 1984 until now, I have personally owned call centers in Asia. I have owned a nursing review school. I have had a healthcare staffing firm that staffed hospitals and skilled nursing facilities and surgery centers throughout the United States. I had a real estate company, and the list goes on. I've had other companies besides that. And I had to adapt. I had to learn. I tell you, starting the call center in Asia, I learned so much about marketing, about how to train people to sell or to answer questions. I learned about communication systems. And I learned that with the typhoon seasons out there in Asia, sometimes things get mixed up in the sea where it will crush the communication lines and all the hubs in between to get that call or that phone conversation from that Asian country to the United States. I learned a lot. But I had to adapt, especially when I went there, where I had to begin my day at 10 p.m. at night and ended at 10 a.m. the next day. I am not good at working at night. By the time I got done, I was worn out. But I adapted, just so that I could get the job done, serve my clients, and do well. A lot of you don't know, but at one point in time in my call center, we were doing product placements in movies and television in Hollywood. We would get all the scripts that were coming up, and we would go through them. Do they need pants here? Do they need a certain drink here? And then we would begin contacting these individuals and start placing them within the movies based on what the production team needed. And a lot of you didn't know that that was being done right out of Asia through my company. But I was adapted. I had to adapt to a new industry. I had to look at things differently. Adaptability is what makes you stronger in your business. Because there are going to be things that pop up that you need to address, and you need to be adaptable to be able to do it, just so that you can get through to the next challenge. Challenges make you adaptable. Don't stress out about it, but just do it. Don't stress, but study the situation, study the issue, find an answer, and adapt and get it done. That's all you have to do. I was talking about between the East Coast and the West Coast, from South Carolina to California. When an issue comes to a client in California, they go bonkers. If they get a letter from the IRS, they go absolutely crazy. They get concerned. They go into hypertension mode because they don't know how to handle stress. It's a situation where different people handle things different ways. And I noticed that in California because they're already bombarded with all kinds of stress of living, stress of housing costs, higher housing costs, stress of gas prices being so high, taxes being so high, and the list goes on. They are bombarded every single day. Just trying to get 5 miles can take 45 minutes sometimes. So they're bombarded with stress. I bet you the word adaptability isn't even in their vocabulary a lot of times because they are bombarded by various issues all day long, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Adaptability makes you much stronger in your business. Do not take it personally. Adapt, make the changes necessary, and get the job done. In all the businesses that I have had, there's always been some type of problem that has come up. Now, in my business, and in a lot of people's businesses, there is going to be a crisis that you have to deal with. Because the way that you adapt and deal with those crises will tell people around you and your clients and your staff that you can move forward and continue. No crisis is going to stop you, but you're going to move forward. Adapt. Adapt to issues. Adapt to the problems that pop up on a daily basis. Adaptability means that you are strong enough to go out there and find an answer to resolve your problems, issues, and crises. I tell you, I look back from from the very beginning of when I started. And what I had to go through and the people that I've had to weed out. I've had to adapt at weeding out people. I'll give you a good example. I knew these two individuals in Irvine, California. And they always bragged about how many businesses that they could put together and the financing that they could do, everything else. So we sat down, all three of us sat down one day. We said, okay, let's form a company. And let's go out and let's look at companies that we can purchase and turn around and make them into profitable companies. So we all agreed that we were going to go out and we were going to find companies that looked like a possibility. And the other two people said that they knew that they could raise the funding. They knew that they could raise enough money to buy these companies. They had contacts. So we had our marching orders and we went out. I formed the company. Then I went out and I found 14 companies. I sat down and talked with them, kind of interviewed them to see exactly what was up with them. I did do a miniature due diligence. So then we came back a few weeks later and we sat down and we said, okay, let's go over what we've done. So I went over, okay, here is the corporation. I formed the corporation and it's ready to go. I've got the federal ID number. Everything's ready to go. And here are the 14 companies, and I gave them a whole documentation on what I thought of the company, what the profitability could be. I did the whole research on them. The other two individuals brought nothing to the table. Nothing. They could not even go out and raise $1 million. So I adapted. I said, okay, fine. This is a good indication that I've been hoodwinked here and I need to go out and do it on my own. So I did. I went out, opened my own office in Long Beach, California. And I started taking on clients. And I built up my client base once again. Under my new name, my new company. And then it led from one step to the next step, and I adapted to the clients I was bringing in. And pretty soon I had over 3,500 tax clients. Pretty soon I had the call center. Pretty soon I had the nursing review. Pretty soon I had all the other companies that I wanted to start. But I did it my own because I adapted very quickly. I knew how to adapt. And I got it done. Now, there are also times we need to adapt when you see a company that is draining so much from your other company's cash flow that you need to shut it down. So you have to adapt. Sometimes you have to shut things down because it just is not working, because it's draining too much time and effort and financial cash out of your companies to pay for this one bad company. If you have a bad company and it's doing that, if it's draining you, get rid of it, shut it down. Don't think of it as an ego situation. Oh, I just can't shut it down. This is my baby. No, there are no babies in business. If it's losing you money, shut it down. Move on. Be adaptable. Because you can start a company, you can start a business that will be a success. Not all businesses are going to be a success. I know, I've done it. But you shut it down very quickly before it drains everything else out of your successful companies. Get rid of losers. You're going to have some losers when you start a business. Those people out there who are startups, some of them are on the verge of making everything profitable, and there are others who will never get to that next stop. They will never get to the next place in life where they become a real, true business. They'll just remain a startup for the next few years. And those are the wrong kinds of businesses. Even though they've got very bright people being very creative, they don't have the business sense of when something is not working and be adaptable and shut it down. And you have to do that in business. It's a requirement in business. Be adaptable. Be adaptable in knowing what your company is all about and what you can do with it. Be adaptable with the types of clients that you take on board. And be adaptable for all of those adaptable to all of those things that go up and down all the time. That is what life is about. It's ups, it's downs. But if you're not adaptable and if you take it so personally, you are going to fail. Now, there's nothing wrong with failure. As long as you put it in your mindset, I am going to win. But I also have to be smart enough to shut something down that is not working. Be adaptable. So as we go through our business series, we're teaching you right now on everything you need to do and think about in starting up your business. Then we're going to go through some of the management side of running a business, working with people, doing your HR, telling your story, in your public relations and marketing to your clients. And we're going to go through the applications that you have to take into consideration to keep your business in compliance with all the federal regulations, the state regulations, the county regulations, the city regulations. We'll go through a lot of that. So I want you to continue to stay tuned as we discuss this starting up a business. But I also want you to think about the word adaptability as you start up your business. Take it from a person who has had to go through this, that you have to be adaptable to all kinds of things that pop up in the life of a business. Anyway, so that's it. I'm on my way to Burbank on Sunday. If you have a question, just send me an email at mlodge@lodge-co.com, and I will answer them as quickly as I possibly can. But I want you to go out there. Think about adaptability and everything that you have to do, and knowing that things are going to come up within your business life that you're going to have to deal with. Adaptability is the best way to get through it all. In common sense. Everybody have a great Friday. I'll talk with you soon. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.